Clearly, green is good politically, but the big question about whether it works economically, and we've now got fracking that's gone back onto the sort of naughty chair. Questions about what happens about oil and gas, and how much we've got to invest in renewables. I mean, it's a really difficult thing for them to balance.
It is. I'm not sure green is good politically. It's good among,
certainly the UN would see it.
Yes, there's certain people, a sort of younger demographic, mainly a sort of wealthier, younger demographic. I think for a lot of people, this stuff seems completely outlandish. They're trying to make ends meet and, fill their vans with diesel so they can go to work and try and pay these massive tax rises that are on their way, as Olivia says. So the countries at COP, they've got a kind of headline figure that they're trying to deliver every year of sort of funny money, if you like. It's $100 billion. It sounds like a lot, but it's sort of, it's 1/20th of the sort of GDP of the UK, which is, the GDP is like 3% of the world economy. It's not a massive amount of money. It's just a kind of figure to rally round. Look, I think what's really going on at COP, certainly if the politicians are smart, is that they will try and combine the idea of moving away from fossil fuels, which in my view is broadly speaking a good idea as long as ordinary people don't disproportionately pay for it, with the idea of energy security. Because there's a big difference between COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt and COP26 in Glasgow is obviously the war in Ukraine, the fact that we now are all thinking so much more about energy security, the fact that energy prices, domestic energy prices, have spiralled enormously. Now, the reality is, to actually produce renewable energy in this country, right, it's had years of subsidy. Per unit cost, renewable energy is now among the cheapest forms of energy, right? It's far cheaper to produce a megawatt hour of renewable energy than to produce a megawatt hour of electricity from a gas-fired power station, for instance. But none of that is coming through because the price that we pay on our bills outside of this energy price cap still reflects energy that's created by fossil fuels because our market for energy is rigged. It doesn't work particularly well. So what politicians need to do, in my view, is to say, look, this renewable stuff, it's not all about cost and sacrifice, and if you don't sign up to it immediately, you're immoral and people protesting. It's actually about delivering cheaper energy for you and your family in the long term. And as long as we have the situation, our energy market doesn't work, so cheaper renewable energy isn't getting through, no one's going to believe that. So they have to make the policy work, the technical parts of the policy work, to make the political message, I think, palatable.
And it is the reality at the moment, in terms of securing that energy security, that we have to bring some of those coal-fired power stations back online. We have to continue with having gas-powered stations, even though perhaps we actually get them from gas storage facilities rather than importing gas from the continent. All those things have to be in place for at least, 5-10 years until we sort the other sources.
You put your finger on it, Mark. There's a new kind of pragmatism now, a kind of reality check. As the sort of protesters have got, increasingly shrill in their methodologies and gluing themselves to things and hanging off sort of motorway infrastructure and so on. So as that's happened, the actual pressure on politicians to, make sure the lights stay on, frankly, has got much, much more important. And that is why I think they have to show that this, renewables, moving away from fossil fuels, can actually enhance our energy security, because if you make it work properly, they can.
OK.